I'm Theresa Havel, and I'm a clinical psychologist.
I'm Reverend Albert Serino. I'm a holistic minister practitioner for the Good Vibe Tribe Holistic Ministry.
Hi, I'm Mark Callahan, and I'll be asking the questions. So guys, what do you think consciousness is? What does that term mean to you?
Consciousness? Consciousness is a very umbrella term, in my opinion, for a lot of things. But psychologically, I believe it's defined an awareness of awareness. It's the understanding that if you close your eyes and you kind of put yourself in that observing position to look and observe all your thoughts and emotions completely objectively without feeling anything about it, just kind of observing, you start to realize, or you start to question, what is inside of me that's aware that I'm actually thinking right now, or that I'm aware of anything right now. You know, what is that that's giving you that awareness? And I think that's kind of where consciousness stemmed from, that simple, there's an extra bit of awareness, there's an awareness here, and what it goes. What it starts to encompass is, from an indigenous view, from my personal experiences, from what I feel, is it starts to encompass the whole of everything. That consciousness could define what the universe is, what we are, how we play a role in this thing we call life, our dreams, the physical world, anything beyond, and that's kind of a really broad perspective of what I see as consciousness. I don't know.
Well, I think that you really kind of hit it when you said awareness. That's probably the first thing I would tell people, that consciousness is an awareness. And
right.
However, I would say that, like you said, there's other states of consciousness. So we have consciousness that we're alert and we're aware. But then there's sort of another level of consciousness that we're not aware of. And that's sort of what we call our subconscious, or outside of our awareness. And I say outside your awareness because it's not something tricky. It's just something that you're just not in the forefront. And so part of the energy that's in our body, a consciousness, is also influenced like this perception. Consciousness is an energy. It's a field of energy. It's a collective energy. And so one of the things that I talked about, about Anita Moorjani and this collective consciousness, it may begin as we start discover what consciousness is for each of us is that we are all in consciousness. Consciousness is everywhere. Consciousness is perception. It's a state of the universe. It's an energy, a force.
It's very natural too.
Yeah, very natural, right? So, and I think that whatever we put our focus on, that energy is behind. This is why we kind of talked about, focusing on, more positive things coming into your life and thinking about, things in a much more healthy way, or really anticipating wonderful things to come into your life, because what you focus on actually is what you attract, and it's what becomes your reality. So, that's what that whole perception is reality is very key. Consciousness is a state of awareness, and if your awareness is constantly focused on some kind of fear, some kind of danger or alert, your whole world becomes that. And that's really, I think, unfortunately, one of the reasons why this project is so important, is because if we collectively, on a whole, in this world, start to focus on things that we want rather than what we don't want. Exactly. We are constantly focusing on things we don't want in the world. Right. So collectively, as an energy field, if we really started to bring into focus what we want, like wellness, instead of cancer. That was something Anita Moorjani coined, Can we focus on wellness, how to be well, how to be happy, how to feel good? Can we focus on how to cooperate rather than debate? And it sounds like semantics, but it's not. It is really a reality. It is really our reality that we're creating. And this divisiveness that we have right now between political parties and between people and between genders and between humanity and colors and races and religions, all of that is being created. If we could really focus on unity, really focus on togetherness, problem solving, I think that the whole world would shift in a huge way. And that's what this project is really all about, that consciousness.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah, you talked about divisions that we have, whether it be between genders, politics. whatever it ends up manifesting itself in. I think a lot of people believe that they're always grasping for some grand conspiracy that's going on. Like there are some actors who are doing this to us, or there's some great plan. And I think that if you take what you guys are saying, it's sort of what I personally believe is that there isn't. It's all of us individually acting, and we were creating these divisions by our own individual actions. There is no grand scheme to anything. There is no great overseeing Illuminati or something like that that's spinning the world in a particular direction. It's just all of us acting negatively in some manner, and the culmination of that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's absolutely brilliant, because that's really the cusp of what these philosophies all kind of come together and say. And whether it's Taoism or Buddhism or Catholicism, Christianity, the whole idea is like individually, right? We're all responsible for our own self. And part of that comment is like a Buddhism term, like be the change you want to see. You be the change. When you go to a store, like this is a personal example, but I used to see other people on phones and like talking at registers and stuff on their phones and just dismissing the person in front of them. And I was like really unconscious in that behavior for a long time. And then I was like, what am I doing? I'm like dismissing, and I was like one of those behaviors that I just completely stopped. And now I make a point in engaging the person in front of me and laughing with them, and because I know it's important to them and to me. This is a complete stranger, but you know what? They are me. And that's the point, on a very philosophical level. You are me, I am you. And so as we start to like reflect with each other, the person that you're in front of, if you're sensing that they're frustrated or angry, or if they're being rude or critical, take a step back and go, have you ever done that? Have you ever been rude? Have you ever been critical? And go, yeah, I have been rude and I have been critical in my life. Okay. So there's no judgment. There's no attachment to other people's things. It's all about you. And what can you do in that moment to maybe alleviate that person, like you were saying before? Can you say a nice comment? Can you be the change you want in the world? It's got to start with each one of us.
Yeah, I actually, before I came here, I wanted to almost print it out and bring it, but I saw a little cartoon, and it was just a guy at a podium, and he said, it was like a political reference, and he's like, who wants change? And everybody raised their hand. And he said after that, well, who wants to change? And everybody put their hands down and looked at the ground. So
Yeah.
I definitely understand what you mean by that. And I think a lot of it, you don't necessarily have to be immersed in any of the sort of things that you guys are talking about to live those kind of things.
Yeah.
Because I would say a few years ago in my own life, I started sort of doing that. Putting my phone down at a store or something like that, talking to people, talking to strangers. And a lot of that came because on a professional level, I had to do that. I had to go up and talk to some contractor or some engineer, something like that, who I didn't know. And I'm not particularly normally comfortable with talking to people that I don't know. And I just learned, like, well, I'm sure he doesn't necessarily want to talk to me either. So I just walked up and began to talk to him. And it did make a lot of things easier in my life, and it came naturally after that.
Yeah.
And I try to express that to other people. Like, just be nice to people.
Absolutely.
What's the point otherwise?
I mean, to sum all this up, it doesn't have to be called spirituality or any particular label. You really could just call it the art of being a good person. I mean, there really is. It doesn't have to be tied to anything in particular. A lot of these things are ways, they're frameworks to look at the stuff, to reference the stuff, the information, or techniques to incorporate the stuff into your life. But you don't have to relate it to anything or call it anything specific. Like I said, you're going about, like Jesus didn't walk around teaching everybody, to follow him and worship him or whatever. He just taught people how to be a good person. He was trying to explain to people, hey, there's a reason I'm telling you, be a good person. Or, work towards treating your neighbor a certain way, because you're really treating yourself that certain way when you're treating that neighbor.
And he did the same with his disciples, with the apostles too. It was funny because you talked about I'm missing the reference now, but it was a short time ago we were talking about and I thought about that, the apostles, and he didn't say like you're going to be held in some fiery pit. Jesus was unconditional love. Absolutely. And he tried to show people and discernment and and look at what you're doing, and take a look at how you're treating other people, and look at your behavior. This is not what the source of all life and creation has wanted for you. And that's something that, I think as we start to really look at life particles and quarks, and understanding that we're a part of creation, we're a part of the cosmic universe, we're collectively all together. And it doesn't matter necessarily, each one of us, what our necessarily belief religion is. It's that we are all connected, whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not.
Yes.
But that's the part of the Consciousness Awareness Project, is to let people know that we are connected. We're all in this together, and that we are divine beings having a human experience.